I surrender to the Almighty, my mind, speech and body. Vanakkam. We are reading the book called Thirukkural, written by Thiruvalluvar, and the commentaries given by Parimel Alagar. This is a book on Aram and it is given to us by our Tamil ancestors. Aram is the order found in nature. This book tells us how humans can live their lives in harmony with the natural order. It shows first a way to immerse in life by way of finding a suitable life partner, getting married, raising kids, hosting guests and friends and taking care of the community and thereby living a beautiful family life. And then it shows a way to gracefully let go of all of these attachments in seeking a higher purpose where we broaden our circle of love in search of the self or in search of God. The Aram for the married life is called as Illaram and the Aram for letting go of the attachments is called as Thuravaram. And these two Arams are discussed in this book. Now, the language used by the author Thiruvalluvar is advanced Tamil, and so it's not easy for us to go to the depth of the book, and that is why we are going along with Parimel Alagar to understand Thirukkural. He writes an introduction to this book, and this section is called as the Urai Payiram, and we have finished reading this portion. In the Urai Payiram, in the first line itself, Parimel Alagar promised the readers that the book will show the path to higher states of existence called Padam and show a way to our final destination called Veedu, which is a space of endless and indestructible happiness. So we finished the Urai Payiram, and after the Urai Payiram we are entering into the first big section called as the Arathupal. The book has three big sections. They are the Arathupal that talks about the Illaram and the Thuravaram. Then we have the Purutpal and the Inbathupal. The Purutpal talks about the wealth and the Inbathupal talks about pleasure. Each Pal has smaller sections called Iyal, and each Iyal has smaller chapters called as Adhigaram. So as we enter the Arathupal, the first Iyal is called as the Payiraviyal. Payiram means preface in Tamil. So there are 4 chapters in this Payiraviyal, and these 4 chapters give a good overview or a preface of the entire book. The first chapter in Payiraviyal is called as Kadavul Vaazhthu. Kadavul Vaazhthu, which translates to in praise of God. Before the start of any work, it is a practice to seek the blessings of a higher power in nature, something we refer to as God. So in conforming to that practice, it looks like Thiruvalluvar has written his first chapter on the topic of God, and this seems to be his way of offering a prayer to seek God's blessings to compose his book in the right manner. But there are many gods that people worship, and this raises the question, which God is Thiruvalluvar offering his prayers to? To answer this question, we saw in detail what are gunas. Gunas can be understood as a quality or property, and gunas are of 3 types: the Satvikam, Rajasam and Tamasam guna. I also explained how all the living and non-living entities around us can be completely defined using just these 3 gunas. I also explained how the gunas affect our mind in a certain pattern over time. The Tamils assigned 3 gods, namely Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva, to the 3 gunas respectively. Together these 3 gods are called as Trimurtis. And Parimel Alagar showed us that the 3 big sections or the pals of Thirukkural are nothing but a reflection of the 3 gunas. Because the Satvikam guna is responsible for Aram, the Rajasam guna is what makes us work towards wealth or porul, and the Tamasam guna is associated with pleasure or inbam. So Thiruvalluvar has written this chapter as a prayer to the Trimurtis. This is where we stopped. Now, if gurus like Thiruvalluvar and Parimel Alagar found it was necessary to seek the blessings of some higher power before starting their work, it goes without saying that we also need such guidance before doing any new initiatives. Today we will start with the first Kural. So you can send a silent prayer to your favorite god or just nature that this book should give us the necessary guidance in our journey towards endless happiness. So let's start with a chapter called Kadavul Vaazhthu. It translates to In Praise of God. In this chapter, Thirukkural is going to tell us what is God, what are some of the important characteristics of God, what is worship, the different kinds of worship, and why would anyone want to bother with God and worship. There are 10 Kurals in every chapter. We will start with the first Kural. The first Kural in this chapter is agara muthala ezhuthellam adhi bhagavan muthatre ulagu. Agara muthala ezhuthellam adhi bhagavan muthatre ulagu. The immediate translation of this Kural is, just as how the letter A is the first sound of all the letters of all the alphabets, so is God the first in the world. Yeah, I can hear clearly what you're thinking after all the fuss and lengthy introduction that you gave about Thirukkural and the depth of life and all that. This is the big earth-shattering truth that is revealed. What's the big deal with the letter A anyway? Many English and even Tamil translations of the Kural mention this simple meaning and conclude that we are done with understanding this Kural. But there's plenty more going on here and I will try to explain them. Here, Whatdo is comparing two things. He is trying to help us understand the nature of God using an example for comparison. By the way, this method of learning using an example for comparison is called as Uvamai in Tamil. So here two things are compared. Just as the letter A is the first of all the letters, God is the first in the world. Now, first of all, let us see what is meant in this Kural and if it is even correct. In Tamil alphabets, A is the first letter of the alphabet. But that's not really the case with other languages, isn't it? In English, we have A as the first letter of the alphabet. Some other languages have H, Z, alpha. So then how can Whatdo say that all the letters of all the alphabets have A as their first sound? Did he make a mistake? Or maybe because he lived so far behind in time and he didn't have a chance to witness our current day's languages? We will keep this question in the back of our mind and enter the meaning of this Kural with Parimel Alagar. When Whatdo says that A is the first sound of all the letters in the world, we should understand what he really means. In order to understand that, we need to understand a little bit about the Tamil language first. What's so special about the Tamil language and why is the letter A considered important? That Whatdo has chosen to take this letter as a comparison to understand something as big as God. A more fundamental question is, why did we ever need a language? So now let's stretch our imagination to see how a language would have been born. You see, the difference between man and animals is man has a well-developed mind that is responsible for thinking, reasoning, cognition and decision making. But animals don't have such an advanced mind. Animals go through most of their experiences in their life in that moment. They don't usually carry all of it to the future the way humans do. Most humans, on the other hand, go through the experiences of their life not just once while the event is happening, but several times later in the mind. First, we record the events in such detail and store the impact of the events as memories, and then we tend to relive certain happy and particularly painful events over and over again. We analyze conversations, dissect situations, make conclusions, overanalyze and dissect some more. This kind of behavior is not common among animals, right? So as the events kept increasing for humans, the mind becomes full of thoughts and it becomes necessary to empty the mind to keep it light. And the only way to do that is to let the thoughts out. When a water tank is full, we let out some water to reduce the weight and the pressure. So like that, when the mind is also pressurized, we will feel lighter when we share our thoughts with someone else. And for doing that, communication is needed. So what do humans need to communicate really? You see, we have both good and bad experiences, and we are most interested in increasing our good experiences in this life. That's how we are programmed. One good thing is, by talking out our problems, the negative impact of the problem decreases, our worries begin to decrease. And by sharing about our good experiences, the happiness increases. If the happiness were also to decrease by talking, then I'm sure no one would want to talk about their good things in life. We will just be quiet to retain our level of happiness. But that's not what we see, isn't it? We see that happiness increases when we share our good events with our well-wishers. So either way, good and bad experiences, we need a language to express our thoughts. Today, we are all familiar with using some language. Now, forget about our existing situation. Imagine an ancient time when language wasn't even invented. How would humans have communicated their ideas? We had to have had something. Maybe they moved their body parts to communicate. I'm guessing that wouldn't have been enough to communicate a lot of things. So then humans would have discovered that we could communicate using some sounds. But surely one sound wouldn't have been enough. So it would have become necessary to tweak and perfect the different kinds of sounds that humans could make. So perhaps each group of people probably worked on their own set of sounds to communicate among themselves. The Tamils too would have had their own group of people working on the human sound. Now this is only a stretch of imagination. By the way, it is said that God Shiva created the Tamil letters, and God Murugan, the son of Shiva, is the authority of the subject, and it is believed that he taught Tamil to a sage called Agathir. You know, it is quite possible that all of this is true, because I wonder if it is possible for ordinary humans to have such a deep understanding of life and use that understanding in creating their language. You will see shortly what I mean. So the Tamils played with the sounds, understood and fine-tuned the different sounds, and they came up with unique symbols for each sound. Such symbols are called as aksharam or ezhuthellam in Tamil, which is what we call as letters of the alphabets today. So any letter or aksharam has a sound form and a symbol or a written form. The written form is used to recall that particular sound. The sound is the more important aspect and it stays the same over time, but the symbol can change and has changed over the years. And in Tamil language, each sound has only one symbol. The Tamils identified 30 independent aksharas or letters and then some dependent letters. Interestingly, the first 12 letters are called as Uyir Ezhuthukkal or life letters. Ezhuthukkal means letters in Tamil. And the next 18 letters are called as the Mei Ezhuthukkal or body letters. And more than 2000 years back, a grammar scholar called Thirukkural has documented all of this in his work called Thirukkural. See, but look at the name given to these letters by the grammar scholars, Uyir and Mei. Uyir means Atma or soul or the intelligence in this body, and Mei means body. Now, why would anyone name the letters as life and body? They could have given some other name like clean letters and unclean letters, or upper and lower letters, or something like that. Why would you call them as life and body letters? Is there any relationship to our Uyir and body and all these letters? Actually there is, and let's try to understand that. Now, I am Mohana, that's my name. But what do I refer to as Mohana? My Uyir and body together. Just my body without my life or Uyir. will be referred to as the dead body. And just my Uyir is, well, just my Uyir or life. So my name refers to my Uyir and the body together, not just my Uyir or body in isolation. And when I die, my Uyir or life will leave the body and it will go on in its journey. Maybe it will take another birth and come back with a new body and so on till it reaches its destination. Now when I say my name, only my body will come to your mind, not my Uyir. Even I have not seen my Uyir, how can you see it then? So when I say my name, only my physical form will come to your mind. So if we cannot see the Uyir, then how can we find out whether or not there is Uyir in a body? Well, when the body is functioning, we can say that the body has life or Uyir in it. Otherwise, there is no way to directly see the Uyir. The wise people, also called as Jnanis, who created our letters of the Tamil language, they applied the same understanding of body and Uyir in creating their language. How? The Uyir ezhuthukkal or the life letters can function on their own, just as how life can function on its own. But the body letters or the mei ezhuthukkal cannot function on their own. They can function only by combining with the life letters. Okay, you see there are 12 Uyir or the life letters and 18 mei or body letters. And these two combine with each other to give a whole set of 12 times 18, which is 216 dependent letters. So when the Uyir letters and the mei letters combine, the entire language suddenly comes to life with so many different kinds of sounds and meanings that can be made into words and sentences and so on. Just as how when life enters a body, we have so many different kinds of expressions of life as people, animals and trees and so on. So like that, when the Uyir letters enter the body or the mei letters, the entire language becomes alive. And we can use this language to express our intelligence. I will explain using an example. Now there is a term called mathirai. Mathirai is a Tamil word. It is a measure of time. Just as how we have seconds and minutes to measure time, mathirai is also a unit of time. It is defined as a time taken to pronounce one letter. Roughly, one mathirai is equal to the time it takes to blink our eye. So this is one mathirai. Or it can also be defined as the time it takes to produce a sound when we snap our fingers like this. This is one mathirai. The Uyir letters have a mathirai of 1 or 2. It goes like this: a, e, and so on. A is one mathirai and a is 2 mathirai. And almost all of these letters can stand alone and mean something. For instance, a means that, a means cow, e means housefly. So each of these Uyir letters can stand alone and function on their own. The mei letters, on the other hand, they take on a mathirai of half, and the series goes like this: ik, ing, ich, inj, and so on. And these letters cannot stand alone and give a meaning by themselves. So they have to be combined with the Uyir letters. So now let's see what happens when we combine the first Uyir and the first mei letter. Ik plus a is ka. The first Uyir ezhuthu is a, and this is how it looks. And this is the first mei ezhuthu. It is called as ik, and this is how it looks. It is a symbol with a dot on the top. Now, when the ik combines with the a, we get a new dependent letter called as ka. This is called as ka. Ik plus a is ka. The mathirai of ik is half. It takes nearly half of an eye blink to say this letter, and the mathirai of a is 1. It takes just one eye blink to pronounce this letter. And the mathirai of ka is not 1.5 but just 1. This final letter ka takes on the mathirai of the life letter. In other words, it functions in the same way as the Uyir letter or the life letter A that created it. And also, when we look at the எழுத்து Ka, what do we see? There is no visible form of the Uyir letter A. We only see the form of the male letter Ik. We see the body but not the life. Just as how in our body you cannot see the life, you can only see the body. So based on the nature of the Uyir and the body in this human form, the first 12 letters were called as the Uyir ezhuthukkal or the life letters, and the next 18 letters were called as the Mei ezhuthukkal or the body letters. And that's how the creators of this language have taken a very fundamental observation of our life, and they have applied that in constructing the language. Now I have only explained just one aspect of this language. There's more application of what we observe in life in creating this language. We will not be able to go into the depth of this language here, but as we move through Thirukkural, you will be able to see some of them. Okay, so that's how the Tamil letters were created. And then what happened? Was communication complete? Well, it turns out that the letters weren't enough. So they took the symbols and they created words and sentences. And many sentences made a paragraph, and many paragraphs made an essay, and they used this as a vehicle to transfer their ideas to another person. Now, despite all these efforts in creating a language, the language experts still say that only 40% of the message is communicated successfully. How much ever you try, only 40% of the knowledge is transferred. So then how can we increase this percentage? How can we increase the effectiveness of our communication? Is it even possible? The Tamil language showed a way for that too, and we will talk more about that in our next video. And once we have a rough understanding of the Tamil language, we will be able to see why the letter A is important, and then we will be able to enter the Kural. So with this I will end here, and I will see you all in the next video. Thank you for listening. Nandri Vanakkam.